Hello everyone. Have a good day. Welcome to Texila e-conference knowledge series. Thank you for joining today's webinar session. My name is Divya Bhupati and I am the SEO analyst at Texila e-conference. Texila e-conference is the leader in organizing online conferences and has been helping entrepreneurs, marketers and professionals achieve their goals. Texila e-conference being an information hub has networked 300 plus international speakers from top brands and shared abundant knowledge to people across the globe. It has hosted eWay conferences from 2014 and has inspired people to exchange information on a virtual platform. Today, we are going to learn about how to create audience-driven content for success presented by Cheung, CEO and co-founder of Halls Global Limited. MA has over 2 decades of experience in digital marketing, business transformation, innovation, and growth strategy. Her responsibilities have included billion revenue portfolios and she has developed numerous innovative double-digit year-on-year growth marketing campaigns. Emmy co-founded Halls Global to help startups, entrepreneurs, and business to build, grow, and excel in the digital age. She brings a mixture of corporate and down-to-earth practical entrepreneurial experience to clients across the wide range of industries. In her spare time, Amy is passionate about volunteering her skills to various not-for-profit organizations and communities. Amy delights in mentoring and coaching MBA students, startups, and business executives. Amy holds a Master of Business Administration from the Australian Graduate School of Management, a Bachelor of Medical Science degree from the University of Sydney, and Change Management accreditation from the PROS United States. Before we get started, I want to share a few operating systems. Now, without further delay, we will join the session with Amy Cheung. Hi, Amy. Welcome to Texila e-conference knowledge series. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for the welcome. I'm delighted to be here to share how to create audience-driven content for success. Let's get started. What are we going to cover today? First, I'd like to introduce to you a university-validated method of 5 simple steps to create audience-driven content for success. Then I would like to share with you a very important vehicle for business success, which is how to tell a good story about your business and how your business products, solutions, and services can actually help your customers. I would then also share with you, many of our customers always ask, how do we actually identify strategic content that can help solve customers' problems? So I'm going to give you some tips as to how you can identify some strategic content that your customer will crave for. And then we're going to have some time for question and answer session. So if you have any questions at all, please write it down. And when we're having our Q&A session, please put in the chat box and I'll be delighted to answer your questions. But first, what is content? Well, content is the fundamental building blocks for promoting your products, services, and solutions. Content is really the currencies of the internet and marketing. It includes materials such as video, blogs, social media posts, customer case studies, emails, websites, and you name it. Knowing how to create audience-driven content is a critical skill for business success. So why is content so important for marketing, especially digital marketing? Content helps create trust and establish authority. It is a fundamental vehicle to help develop relationship and build long-term relationship with your customers. It helps generate leads and also improve sales conversion. It helps you to build engaged audience and followers of your brand. Content is also very important for search engine optimization and website traffic. It also warms up your prospects and turn them into buyers and repeat buyers. You might have heard of a marketing term called content marketing. Well, content marketing is one of the most critical marketing skills any business must master. Just to make sure that we are all on the same page, let me define what content marketing is. And I really like the Content Marketing Institute's definition. Content marketing is a form of marketing that focuses on creating, publishing, and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a targeted audience, ultimately to drive profitable customer action. I want you to think about your own business now. And I want you to think about content that you might have put out or content marketing you've done recently. I want you to think about what kind of valuable content have you produced? Are they relevant to your ideal targeted customers? And in the scale of 1 to 10, how consistent has your content been in attracting and retaining the most profitable customers? And one very important test to think about your content marketing is to make sure that content that you put out is going to give you profitable customer interaction. I'm sure we all have been there before where we spend hours and hours of creating content, but there's not really much return. It didn't give us leads. It didn't give us better conversion. It didn't add any brand equity to our brand at all. Well, in this webinar, I'm going to introduce you to a university-validated method, 5 simple steps to create audience-driven content for success. Because this particular method, you can use it for marketing. You can use it in operation. You can use it in leadership. You can use it in all facets of your business. The methodology is called the Bullseye Method. It's created by communication expert Dave Halls, who's also the co-founder of Halls Global. This particular methodology is based on our best-selling book called The Bullseye, Getting the Right Message to the Right Audience. In the book's foreword, we had Dr. Joe Vitale, who is multiple best-selling author and also the movie star of The Secret, international speaker and coach, gave us a foreword and said, Bullseye takes the mystery out of what makes good communication and reviews what you can do to become a great communicator. So, what's so special about Bullseye Method? It is simple. Anyone can follow it. It applies to any type of content, whether it's emails, video, social media, messenger, landing pages, print, and so on. It is university validated and is proven to increase productivity and communication success amongst business owners by 24 to 78%. And it's been tested across multiple industries. Let me go through the overview of the 5 simple steps of the Bullseye Method by Dave Halls. Step 1, gather intel. Step 2, consider your structure. Step 3, flesh out your content. Step 4, review. Step 5, deliver. Before I go into more details about the Bullseye Method and how it can be applicable to your business, I'd like to share with you that we use this methodology very frequently in our own business. The 5 simple steps help us to create compelling marketing content in our business to connect with our target audience. It helps us to increase lead generation and sales conversion. We also use the Bullseye Method for executive coaching, whether it is executive CEOs that try to share their vision or drive change, major change in their organization. We also use the Bullseye Method to help startups in the areas of capital pitching. We also use the Bullseye Method to help our customer to articulate their product positioning and their unique proposition and benefits. Let's go into more in detail about the Bullseye Method by communication expert Dave Halls. The 5 simple steps. Step 1, gather your intel. Step 2, structure your content. Step 3, flesh it out. Step 4, review it. Step 5, deliver for success. Step 1, gather your intel. This is fascinating. The very first point of what we need to do with gathering intel. is to clarify your purpose. I can't tell you, in the years that I have been in business, in large corporates, or even with working with entrepreneurs and startups, many of them will come to me and say, hey, we need to create some amazing content, whether it's for marketing or whether it's to share a vision in a big organization. The first thing I would say to them is that, have you clarified what is the purpose of your content or your communication? And you'll be very surprised to learn that I would say easily 30 to 40% of time, all the way from CEO to startups owners, they're not very sure why they want to create such a content or communication. So what myself and my team often do is actually really spend time clarifying the purpose. Because clarifying your purpose is like having a good pair of legs and feet. If you don't have the right purpose, you don't have a good foundation, then the rest of your content and your communication would not succeed. So clarifying your purpose is critical. As part of gathering your intel before you create any content, whether it's for content marketing, operation communication, or executive briefing, is to understand your audience. Understand who are you communicating to, who are you trying to elicit a response. Understanding your audience cannot be understated. Next, as part of gather your intel, you must choose the best media or medium that best convey your content and your message. In this case, it could be video, it could be an internal communication for a big company, it can be an email, it can be a blog, it can be an article on website, and so on. It is critical to choose the right media for your purpose and your audience. We'll go into a bit more details of that later on. Next part, as part of gathering your intel, is to gather the right subject matter that is relevant to your purpose and appropriate to your target audience. By understanding your purpose, so let's say in the case of a company that just have bleeding edge medical research results, the right subject matters will be from their research results, with potentially the head of research with the right subject matter expertise to share their findings. And it is very important to really understand what is your purpose, what is your audience, and who and what best subject matter you should use to communicate that. I can tell you, as surprising as it is, this very first step of gathering your intel, many organizations, business owners, entrepreneurs, digital marketers miss. They will do it very fast because they just really want to get things out without thinking at heart the importance of getting your intel right. Step 2, structure your content. Have a look at this slide for me. What do you see in the picture? Without proper structure, a building cannot hold up. And certainly a building cannot hold up with disasters like hurricane and typhoon. And unfortunately, in recent weeks, we have heard many disasters, whether it's hurricanes or one of the biggest super typhoon in Hong Kong. For those buildings that don't have the right structure, they will not be able to withstand the storms of competitors and emerging substituted product and services and solutions. So step 2 of the Bullseye Method is to structure your content so that you have a chance to make sure that your message, your marketing, and whatever you try to convey is going to hit the spot. Structuring your content. Lack of structure will cost your content effectiveness. For those of us that have spent a lot of money in marketing in the past, very important as an expert in digital marketing and marketing for so many years, the ROI is critical for every single marketing campaign that we do. Lack of structure when you're actually creating your content in your marketing is really going to cost you. Structure helps people to understand your ideas, and your thoughts. Structure is a tool to achieve your purpose. Examples of structures include storytelling, TECKS, and AIDA, and many more. I will be covering storytelling a little bit more in detail later on. But let's just look at 2 examples of structure that you can use in your content or in your content marketing. First one, TECKS. P for problem, A for agitation, S for solution. This particular structure could easily be used in the blog or in your landing page. First, you might want to describe after you gather your intel, knowing what are the typical challenges that your ideal customers have. You might want to articulate what are the problems that your ideal customers are facing. And then in your copy, let's say is a blog post, you might want to agitate them by saying that if they continue to let this problem persist, how you would affect their business, or maybe if it's a health product, how you affect their health, and maybe is a psychologist try to sell their online courses for parenting, how would, by not addressing behavioral issues at a toddler and preschoolers age, how you would affect the development of the child. So that after articulating the problem that of your ideal customers typically going to face, the agitation is really emphasizing and amplifying by not addressing that problem. What is the consequences of not addressing that problem? Then the third part of that TECKS structure is to provide solution. And typically, you will be providing solution that is relevant to the product, services, or solutions that your company or your business is able to offer. So TECKS is one structure that you can use in your business, whether it's for blog, it can be a landing page, and it can be even a case study-based advertisement as a video format. Next structure we can talk about is what we call AIDA. A for attention, I for interest, D for desire, A for action. Once again, this can use in various type of content. It could be for video ad, or it could be a simple landing page or a web page. First, you grab their attention. And you can grab their attention by understanding and by gathering the intel of what will actually grab the attention of your audience. If I can use an example of weight loss products, right? You might want to grab their attention saying that, did you know by not eating healthily, not only you have weight issue or appearance issue, but you're really going to damage your health. And you can provide some statistics from health research of what by not eating healthily is going to affect their longevity of their life, and also typically some chronic diseases might manifest itself because of that eating habit. So first session is attention, grabbing the attention of your ideal audience based on what the intel that you have gathered and what type of things that will grab their attention. Next I is interest. How do you grab their interest? In this case, people that have already identified that, you grab their attention that, let's say if we continue to use the example of bad eating is grabbing the attention that will lead to bad health. You grab their interest by saying, hey, guess what? It is not too late that even though you've been probably not eating very healthily, but you can have good longevity of life if you actually change course and actually change how you eat and live today. You grab their interest. You do your research on what will grab their interest. And you can use your content, whether it's video, it could be email, it can be blogs to communicate that. Third part of the AIDA structure model is DEAR, create that desire. I'm not sure about you, but for those of us who have been through weight loss, I know and heard that it is so hard to create that desire of, eating healthily, exercise, sleep well, and not eating junk food. So it is very important if you want to be successful in marketing, you create that desire. And you create that desire by showing them the outcome that they can achieve, whether it's longevity of life, prevention of chronic diseases such as diabetes, and so on. So create that desire is very important, because without creating that desire, your audience would not take action. In this particular structure, it reminds you to remember at the end of your content piece, whether it's an ad, whether it's a blog post or your web page, you are having a very strong call to action to make sure that people are going to take whatever action you're going to ask them to do. And in this case, if we continue the line of, healthy eating, is to ask them to take the action of healthy eating and maybe trying your healthy prepared meals that can be home delivered to their house, or maybe getting them to come to your website to learn to cook some healthy recipe. So this is a second structure that you can consider when you're creating your content. Third one, which we have to deal with all the time, in terms of sales pages, there are many different structures that you can follow and create. But once again, to know what structure to use stems from your understanding of your audience, what is the purpose of your content and message, and then choose the appropriate structure to support your content or your marketing. So to make sure that even the storm of competitors come in, you can stand tall, and more importantly, win in business. We'll come back to another very, very powerful structure storytelling in a minute. Step 3, flesh out your content. When you're fleshing out your content, whether it's for marketing or whether it's for executive briefing, or whether to talk to investors, or even just talk to the market about new discovery, new technological advancement, and development that your company has done, it is so important to use the language that resonates with your audience. Can you imagine if your audience is, let's say, car mechanics? You're not going to use the language, the lingo, and the jargon of financial industry with them, would you? If your audience is to market, let's say, the latest Fitbit watch for the teenagers, you're not going to use, the baby boomers language, try to connect with the millennial or the new generation of teenagers. So using the language that resonates with your audience is very important. Have you ever experienced where someone communicates to you, or a marketing piece that come to you, the content sounds great, but it totally have no way of connecting with you? The reason is that the language they've chosen does not connect with you. So a lot more thought needed to think about the language that resonates with your audience. There is no cookie cutting approach. There's no one size fits all. If you want to be a successful business person, you want your product and services and solution really sells well, you need to learn this. Also, when you're fleshing out your content, make sure you use the language of your chosen medium. When I say that is that, and we'll go into a bit more details later on, there are different mediums. There's video, there's word, there's webinar. At the moment, I'm doing webinar with you. It's a virtual video conference education session. Or maybe it's through just text by email. The language I would use teaching exactly this topic will be very different how I would do it through a webinar, or in a big conference room with a few thousand people, or through our online courses, or it will be totally different. The third point is very important. When you think through how to flesh out your content, you need to make sure you choose the best media. Should I use webinar like I'm doing with you now? And maybe you can tell me later on, has it been an effective vehicle to teach and educate this particular topic? Or should I use maybe one-way video, so I can have it on my TV channel? Should I do it in person in a live event? Should I do it as an online course? Choosing the best medium or media is critical for success. As you flesh out your content, it is very important to gather the right subject matter that's relevant to your purpose and appropriate to your target audience. It is so important to think through that. And if you skip this step, you will find out that your ROI for your marketing or the number of leads and prospects you can get is not as good as you could have if you actually spend a lot of time fleshing out, finding the right subject matter that's relevant to your purpose and appropriate to your audience. Just some example, there are many examples of language that resonate with your audience. So when it comes to words, whether it's words in a print or in a website, use plain over simple language. It's very funny when I coach so many business executives, whether it's in my corporate world or working with startups and entrepreneurs at the moment, it's very funny that people like to use really fancy words. Guess what? Using fancy words doesn't help. It actually overwhelms people, and then people will actually put a barrier over from connecting with your brand and connecting with your solutions and product and services. So words, very critical. Think of plain over simple. Use persuasive words, especially if your piece is a marketing piece where you are trying to get the audience to take an action. Persuasive words, very important. Also, try to use concrete words rather than abstract words. Once again, people don't want to feel like they need to work. And the human mind is a very funny thing. The human mind doesn't like to work too much. If you give them any marketing content or business communications or even person-to-person communication, if people find that it's abstract, they can't grasp it, they don't quite understand what you're talking about, you have lost your prospects. You definitely don't want to do that. In terms of sentences, choose 12 to 17 words. This is another funny area that I find myself oftentimes have to coach business owners and executives and startups. They like to write like really long sentences. And one of the reasons that long sentences doesn't work is because long sentences lose people. And also there's a risk of having too many ideas in a long sentence that people just not fully understanding what you're trying to say. The other thing is that we tell our clients, forget about high school English, be conversational, right? When I say forget about your high school English, is that don't worry about thinking, oh, my English teacher used to tell me I can't do that, right? We've all been there before. But when it comes to business communication, marketing or content marketing, conversational style oftentimes will win you more connection and engagement with your prospects. So forget about high school English. In terms of paragraphs, one idea per paragraph is enough. It's the idea of simplicity, getting the point straight across without confusing your audience. One sentence works beautifully and is very effective. And think of short paragraphs too, because you want customers to actually get what you're saying. Especially many people are so overloaded with content today, they skim read. So you need to make sure that your paragraph is digestible. Using language of your chosen medium is also very important. So let me just go through that briefly here. In terms of medium, whether it's written, video, in person, there are many, many other mediums. These are just 3 examples. So in the case of written medium, consider the language you should use when it comes to words, sentences, and paragraphs that we just talked about. Video, think about it is a moving picture. Think of the sound. Think about the background if you're doing a info educational product. Think of text overlay to make it interactive. Because unlike a webinar, which later on you would have an opportunity to do interactive Q&A session with me, if you're doing a video piece, whether it's a video a promotion video or is a educational piece, there is no opportunity to interact. So how do you make that communication effective and straight to the point? Thirdly, if you are doing in person, if you're doing an in-person, let's say, when I do a large conference or even a small workshop, I need to be very mindful of my body language, the voice that I use, and the content, words, and sentences that is appropriate to the audience. When I actually teach the entrepreneurs and the startups of the early 20s, it's very different to those entrepreneurs that are baby boomers. They have very successful corporate careers, and they are changing gear and they become entrepreneur in their late life. How I communicate with them and educate them, let's say in the topic of digital marketing, I use very different content and also the way I convey that message. So remember, create your content for how your audience will consume it. Step 4, review your content. I am amazed, given the amount of money that we often spend in marketing, or an executive had to share very important news to the company. Whether it is about merger and acquisition, or in some set cases because of the unfortunate situation that they have to cut staff, or in the case of even in terms of ads, I'm amazed at how often people do not review their content, whether it's a marketing piece, an executive briefing, or it could be just even a media release. Get someone that is qualified to review your content, that can actually give you a fresh eye look and to give you constructive feedback to make sure that the content fit the purpose and you're actually getting the right message to the right audience. If you skip this step of reviewing content because it's oftentimes, rushing, getting things out, it will cost you. And you can't afford that. No business can afford wastage. And also, remember that sometimes I only have one chance to actually get your message across, whether it's to your potential investor or a high value client. I only have one chance. So reviewing your content, finding appropriate people that has the understanding and is able to provide constructive feedback is critical for your success. Step 5 is to deliver your content. How to deliver your content for success. Depending on the medium and how you execute that, everything from the technology platform, if you are, let's say, if you are doing a landing page piece and building a sales funnel, you need to make sure that, all the technical stuff is set up properly. If it is a website piece, you need to not only review it, but make sure you test it before you actually drive traffic to that page. If it's obviously like webinar, like today, I didn't come here to do this webinar without preparation, without someone review my content, without understanding the audience, or without actually practice and make sure I deliver with excellence and my best ability so that the audience, you can get the most benefit out of it. So delivering your content is critical to make sure everything from technology, from execution, and to the articulation of your message is to your best ability. So these are the 5 steps of the university-validated methodology called the Bullseye Method, created and developed by communication expert Dave Horse. As I mentioned before, storytelling is one kind of structure that you can use within the 5 steps when you try to create the audience-driven content that is going to give you business success. Storytelling, why is it so powerful? Why is there so many people wanting to learn how to use it? Storytelling, it is powerful because it allows you to emotionally connect with your audience and not just connect with it. It allows you to authentically convey the particular response you want from your audience. Storytelling is memorable. Think back to your most favorite movies, your childhood stories, or stories that you have heard from other brands. They are memorable. So storytelling is a very important skill and one of the useful structure you can use in step 2 of the Bullseye Method because it is powerful, it is memorable, And story allows you to authentically, emotionally connect with your audience. And also story help create an image of your customer benefits in the minds of the prospects. Before I show you the elements of a story, I want you to think of your favorite TV series or movies or a storybook. Keep that in mind, okay? Because I want you to analyze the elements of the storytelling I'm going to share with you with your favorite story. Let's go. 5 elements of a story. First, setting the scene. The example I'm using here is one of my most favorite US TV series called The A-Team from the 80s. Perhaps I'm showing my age here now. I'm not sure how many of you have watched A-Team and liked the A-Team series from the 80s. If you do, let me know in the chat box later, okay? So that I know that I got some company here. But think of your favorite story here. Set the scene, setting the context of where this story is going to happen. Then introduce the character of the story. Then the plot starts. It starts the journey of telling the story. Every good story has an obstacle. The obstacle is what is created, that tension, that is cliffhangers that have all the audience hanging on and staying to the end. The last element of a story is resolving that tension, that obstacle, and everyone wants to know what is the ending. Is the ending of the story a happy ending or an unexpected ending or a tragic ending? So with storytelling, it is a very powerful and memorable communication device that is a good vehicle to get your point across. With the tension in the story or the obstacle in the story, it draws people in and virtually like cliffhangers until they hang on to the end of the story to find out what happened. The characters of the story help your audience to relate to them. And that's when you create connection with your brand and engagement with your suspect, then prospects. Prospects turn buyers. Buyers become repeat buyers, and repeat buyers become your advocate of your brand. Who doesn't want that in their business? The next section, I would like to share with you how to identify strategic content that your customer will want. I get asked of that all the time by my clients because especially in the realm of content marketing, people sometimes run out of ideas. What do I post? What do I write? How do I attract the right ideal client and not to attract the tie kickers or those customers that are really not ideal for us or not profitable for us? How to identify strategic content that your customer wants? First, identify your customer's key problems and issues. Secondly, use your customer research data to validate. It might be polls, it might be surveys, it might be feedback. Use progressive customer profiling. You might or might not have heard of this. Now with so much digital marketing automation, you're able to actually progressively profile the wants and the needs and the attitude of your customers so that you can actually further segment and satisfy what your customer wants. So the progressive customer profiling allow you have micro segmentation and be able to develop solution offering or the way to approach them in a very granular level. Analyze what content your competitors are creating is very important because you want to identify the gap. What kind of content they are not creating that is valuable, you will want to cover that because you don't want to compete in the same way that if everyone is talking about how to lose weight by not eating sugar, you don't need to fight with that. You want to identify really the gap of information that no one's covering so that you can be leader in that space and be seen as leader in, let's say, healthy eating. Study your A and B testing and website analytics is very important because that will give you clues of what content your customers is consuming. With the A and B testing, also with images, headlines, you get really good feel of what is actually your ideal customers is actually connecting with, responding well to. So never, ever not spend time because I know that we're all very busy in our business and, we forget the importance of data analytics, which really, compared to when I was a marketer 25 years ago, this is just gold, that the amount of analytics we have at our fingertips to be able to know what is going on and what our needs and wants and attitude of our customers, it's just gold. So use it. Also, attending industry events also very helpful. Looking at the latest trends, talking to your potential customers, and just learn from each other is very, very powerful to give you new ideas of how to create strategic content that your customer wants. So, in summary, this 5-step simple step of the Bullseye Method would help you to create audience-driven content that will give you business and marketing success. Let me refresh your memory. Step 1, gather intel. Step 2, find the right structure. Step 3, flesh out your content. Step 4, don't forget to review. And step 5, making sure that you deliver with success everything from the technology side to the message and the execution. Make sure that you deliver to success. Thank you so much for your time today. I trust that learning this university-validated Bullseye Method will help you to grow your business and help you to create audience-driven content that is going to help you to win business. If you got any questions, feel free to email us at dave@bullseyemethod.com. You see the email there. And also for this webinar series, we'd like to share with you our audio and video courses and our book. So if you go to bullseyemethod.com/store, bullseyemethod.com/store, you'll be able to find out more information. So over to you, Diva, for our Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. The presentation was very, very interesting and informative. And I guess the attendees also got so much of insights on creating a content for success. Moving into Q&A sessions, the first question is from my side. How to differentiate content marketing from off-page SEO?
Oh, well, the content marketing.
Yes.
Yes. Well, the content marketing piece is the foundation of it anyway, because for the content itself help drive the SEO outcome. So it is a necessary skill that you need to have anyway.
Moving into next question, the attendee Greg. The question is, you mentioned about creating sentence in a conversational way, but email is treated globally as a professional method. Is it a good idea to use conversational language to create extended emails like we use it in chats?
Very good question, Craig. Thank you for asking. And this is very important. As I mentioned, it is important that we understand our audience and the purpose of your writing. If your email is a professional piece to convey, let's say, a company announcement, obviously a conversational style might not suit. So it is always very important to understand the purpose of the content you created. So even within the range of emails, what you write as a CEO writing to the company staff about a new announcement or staff announcement, all the way to share a company results, or maybe a email marketers are doing daily information of sharing, let's say, how to improve your digital marketing. All depends on your purpose. And also by understanding and gathering intel of your audience. If your audience are the type that would respond better to formal language, that's when you really have to do your A and B testing. Everything from the headline to the body text, you need to look at your analytics to know what kind of style is best for your audience. Craig, I hope that answered your question. If I haven't, please put in the chat box if you need any further clarification, but good question.
Thank you for the wonderful answer, Emmy. And moving into next question from the attendee, Anna. Content marketing channels you recommend for lead generation other than webinars, Facebook Live and videos? Is there any other options?
Content marketing channels you recommend for lead generation other than webinars, Facebook Live and videos? There are so many channels. You know, content is everywhere. Content is the essence of, you know, if you think of internet, you think of digital marketing, content is the essence of it. So, you know, there's chatbots, there is your own website, obviously. There are so many platforms that you can use. You know, in the professional world, you obviously got the LinkedIn platform, which LinkedIn now with the LinkedIn marketing has so many great tools that businesses can use to leverage. So certainly content management channel, there are many. You know, it depends on your audience. Where do they hang out? Think about where your customer hang out. Then make sure the content that you create is going to draw their attention, it's going to add value to their business, and make sure that you are visible to them. So there are numerous channels that you can go for. Yeah, so, and don't forget, it's not just digital, right? The smart, depending on your product, services, and solution, the smart marketers now have a strong integrated online, offline strategy. So, you know, don't think of it just online, but think about what type of businesses you are, where your clients hang out, and sometimes offline, even traditional book mail is sort of coming back into fashion.
Thank you so much, Emmy. Moving into next question from the attendee, Christine. What is the best way to identify the customer's key problems?
Sure. It is a very critical part of any businesses. There's numerous ways you can identify the customer's key problems. If you've got a physical products, talk to your customers. There's market research you can do. If you're in services, identifying their needs. Let's say if you are in a services for personal trainers, right? If you are in personal trainers service, you can actually there's research been done in terms of the key problems that they have. But once again, hang out where your client is, engage them. If it's digitally, you can engage them by creating a blog, getting them to respond. You can create surveys. You give them some incentive, and maybe, you know, the first 5 personal training for 50% discount in order to get some feedback from them so that you can understand, you know, what are their needs, wants, and attitude, and what are their problems. So really find out from the customers. And there are also many industry and market research and data out there that you can actually research and find out what kind of key problems and trends that your customer is facing that you need to address.
Moving into next question from the attendee, Paul Michael. What's your preferred way to share the content?
There's no one preferred way, because as I mentioned before, the content, we must gather intel. It depends on my purpose. So if my purpose is to promote a product that most people hang out on video, on social media video, I would make sure that I will use video. Video is increasingly more used because people have short attention span. And just like now, imagine if you just hear my voice without my face, without video, you miss out 70% of the communication. Because without video, you don't see my facial expression, you don't see my body language with my hand movement, you don't see my facial expression, and, you know, there's so much information you don't see. So video is a very powerful means. But once again, you need to do your homework. You need to understand your audience, what is the purpose you try to drive, and making sure that it's accessible by everybody.
Thank you so much, Emmy. Moving into next question from the attendee, Bibin Dev. What is the importance of audience targeting in SEM strategy?
What's the importance of the audience targeting in SEM strategy? It is critical. Yeah, you can't decide how to do the audience targeting in your SEM strategy. Let me put it this way. For the SEM strategy, you need to know your audience. You need to know how best to target them. You need to know how to craft the message that's going to connect with them. So that's once again gone back to the gathering and intel. It is absolutely critical. I do not recommend anybody spending any marketing dollars if they don't do their homework and analyze what does their audience needs, wants, and attitudes are, and how to reach them. It is critical.
Moving into the next question from the attendee Paul Michael. I guess this is the second question of him. The question is, we have more than one target audience. Which one should we prioritize?
Sure, that's a totally different question. How to prioritize which audience to reach is a separate exercise, and you need to do exercise of looking at when you decide which is your ideal audience. You need to start. You have a few factors to consider. The profitability of that sector, of that particular audience, what sort of relationship you already have, and credibility in that area. So there's a whole matrix that you need to actually follow to work out which is your best ideal audience. Because when you actually, let's say you got three target audience, you look at which one's most profitable to you, which one is potentially lower cost to reach. Some audience is not so easy to reach. Depending on the type of services you are in. You know, for example, if you're in professional services, you don't want to just have one customers, you know, a big client, because sometimes you just eat up all your resources. So I will use I would suggest that you use some decision matrix. Profitability would be one. How easily it is that you can reach them. What kind of brand affinity those clients already have with you, which is very important, because it will determine what is the length of time you'll be able to turn them from suspects into a customer. So make sure that you work through your decision matrix in terms of what factors you're going to use to choose. It depends on the stage of your business as well. If you're a startup, sometimes you don't have the luxury of picking, deciding which customer to have, which customer not to have, right? Because at the early stage of startup, you need to build profile, you need to build credibility. And sometimes even a customer is only 10% margin to you, you still grab it because you need those customer testimonial to help you to win in the market. Yeah, so yeah, I hope that answers your question. It is a very big question. And yeah, so hopefully those pointers and a few of the decision matrix will help.
The answer was very, very interesting, Emmy. Thank you so much. And the next question is from my side. I have one question. Is there any different content strategy I want to follow if I want to sell more tickets?
If you want to sell more tickets, so you're talking about event marketing, right?
Means that high value tickets. Is there any other content strategy?
Yep, like content strategy. Yeah. So what kind of content should you create? So the type of content, if I understand your question correctly, one of the very powerful ways of actually marketing events like training and high ticket training events is to make sure that you have testimonials, video testimonials of how the attendees that have been to your conferences have actually applied and find value from the training that you provided. And that is very important. And also when it comes to webinar, it's also another very effective ways to help promote and market high ticket events as well.
Great answer, Rami. Thank you so much. Then moving into the next question from the attendee Mary Joyce. The question is how to amplify your content on the right channels.
I'm not exactly sure understand the question. How to amplify your content on the right channels. I assume you meant how to make sure that your content is executed well in each of the channels. I assume that's the question. Mary Joyce, I might need you to, if you're still on the line, just to clarify your question. I guess, and maybe your question is relating to how to choose the right channel for different content. The way that you will do it going back to the 5-step Bullseye Method, you would have to make sure that you choose the right language and the right medium. So for example, if you are doing a live presentation at a conference, right, in person, for that particular medium, the right language to make sure that I deliver well, you'd be crazy that if people would pay $1,000 to come and watch me and hear me teach them about digital marketing, it'd be crazy that I've got the stage where I can do a lot of influencing and a lot of teaching on stage, that I have the entire presentation projected with video. Because basically I've used the wrong medium and not capitalizing the opportunity to be able to sell and also to promote my product and services and my credibility on stage. So hope that Mary Joyce answered your question. If not, feel free to send us an email afterwards.
Thank you so much, Amy. Moving into next question from the attendee, John Sunday. The question is, what's your view on hyper-targeted social advertising?
What's your view on hyper-targeted social advertising? I didn't really cover this today. I guess it's a matter of opinion what is being considered hyper-targeted social advertising. I assume that John is referring to when people are using too hypey kind of advertising, I assume. I would say that if you don't study your audience and connect and actually solve their problems, doesn't matter if hyper or non-hyper, you're not going to get any good results. But certainly hyper-targeted social advertising doesn't work in a lot of the culture. Especially Asian cultures are much more conservative, so it's not really recommended.
Yes, Amy. Then the last question from my side. If I want to write the blog, I want to go with the international language English, or I want to go with the vernacular languages like Neil Patel's do.
Okay, once again, you need to know your audience, right? Your audience, are you sending a bilingual piece of blogs to channels that have mixture of language users, right? So if you're going to go to a channel that you know there's going to be a mixture of language users, you need to find, and if you are sending to a channel that's likely going to be mixture of language users, bilingual language users, then yes. Otherwise, if you know that you're going to a channel where mostly people are English or your local language, then I would prefer to I would suggest you only have one type of language, because once again, the brain doesn't like overloading, right? They want simplicity. That's how you're going to connect with audience. I hope I answer your questions.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's very, very useful for me. And that's all about the Q&A session. Thank you so much, Amy, for spending your precious time with us. We are very delighted with your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.